Geographic distribution of Google Cloud Services. We already saw in the overview section about Google Cloud Platform. Just wanted to reiterate here because some people might have jumped it here directly. But just wanted to give a feel of what is that we have as a Google Cloud Platform. So Google Cloud Platform has got a regions and the zone inside it. So the region is, you can think of geographical distribution or the location which they have created, and they have a zones which is, you can think of actual physical data centers inside the region. So those are the locations in which you can host your applications directly. These data centers or the regions are spread across the globe, and you can see this is the map as on today. There are data centers available in US, multiple places. There are some data centers which are coming up like Los Angeles, Montreal, Netherlands, Finland, right? Even Hong Kong. So all of those data centers are coming up, but there are existing data centers, and there is this particular 3 number which you see it in Tokyo, that is the zones, which is like number of physical locations. That's where your data gets stored, right? So these are the data centers which are spread across the globe. You have choice to deploy your applications into one or multiple locations or zones across the globe, right? And this is the power of any cloud platform, and Google definitely has it. But at the same time, if you look at all of these data centers are connected using Google's fiber optic cable, and that is private fiber optic cable. So it is not, and this is unlike other data centers, other public cloud environment like AWS or Microsoft Azure. Microsoft Azure started investing into the fiber optic cable or the network backbone, and in fact I think Azure also not Azure, AWS also has decided to invest into those cables. But definitely Google has done tremendous amount of investment into the fiber optic cable which connects all these data centers, because it is required for their premium services like YouTube or Google search, right? All of those runs in these data centers, and there is a fiber optic cable which connects all these endpoints together. If you look at building your applications, there are 2 aspects. One is if you want to deploy your application near to your customer, right? And if your customers say very specific in your Asia region, or your customers are in very specific to North America or South America, or North America and Europe, so you can choose different location to deploy your applications. And if your customers are using your website to access your services, HTTP load balancer intelligently route your requests to nearest to your customer and nearest to your customer's backend, right? As an example, if your customer is accessing a data from say east side of US, then it will be routed to either North Virginia or South Carolina locations, because they are very near to they are very near to the customer, and this will reduce the latency of service which is getting served from those locations. So there are different aspects or considerations which you need to think about it while deciding it to deploy your applications. And this is not actually at the time of implementing it, because API services, all other supporting services are really very same for all the regions and all the zones. The difference is, if at all you're using say BigQuery, or if at all you're using Spanner, right, Cloud Spanner, you need to make sure that it is available for your location, right, wherever you are deploying your application. So that is the only consideration. As I said, Google has deployed the fiber optic network, and they own this fiber optic network. It is their own private network. There are hundreds of access points which are available for you to use it, and the content can be cached into different locations for your customer to see it or access it very fast. And this is the map of the Google's network. You can think of the blue lines. There are some newly announcement which were made in in 2019 that they are going to invest these connections as well as a fiber optic network. They have somewhere around 7,500 edge nodes, and that's where you can actually go ahead and do interconnections with the partners to connect to Google Cloud Platform from your own data centers. As I said, this is how Google differentiate from the other public cloud platform. If you look at, I'll not go into here directly, but if at all you're say the customer is sitting in your Johannesburg location, which is like here, and your services are deployed in London. Consider that particular case, right? So if you are using Google's premium tier network, what will happen is your customer from Johannesburg will get to nearest point of presence, which is Johannesburg, and it will use the Google for private fiber optic network to go to London. The latency for this one is very low because it is Google is using their private fiber optic network to serve your customer, and when London services responds to it, then it will again travel back using Google's private fiber optic network to nearest location, nearest to the customer, and then it will use the public internet. So that is the power of Google, and that is what it is getting displayed here. So your user is actually connecting nearest to the ISP or nearest POP location, and then the traffic gets transferred over Google's private fiber optic network to your Google platform services. If you look at other cloud providers like AWS or Azure, right, they don't have the fiber optic cable as of yet, or the network that Google has it like that currently. So what happens is, if customer is trying to access a again, consider the same case like Azure or AWS, they have the server there in London, and their user, which is sitting in Johannesburg, wants to access the services. What will happen is the user will get connected to public internet, and that public internet will be there to their nearest, actually the data center. Maybe it is the interconnection in the London itself. So up to London, the whole network or the connection or the traffic will be transferred via public internet, and that public internet may have some hiccups, some plus and minuses, and the throughput is not that much, so the latency for this particular user will be definitely reduced. So that is not happening in case of Google's network, and this is the power of Google, and this is how Google differentiate from their services or their network with other cloud providers. Very recently, in fact last year, I saw Google started offering two networks. One is the premium network, and this is the concept you can think of, and the second one is the standard network. So Google also started offering with lower egress fee or the network fee to the cloud providers, that they can use standard network, and it is like lower cost just to compete with other cloud providers. That's it as a geographic distribution aspect of Google Cloud Network or services. Guys, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, move to the next lecture, which is microservices. Thanks.